We are live.
The Lemon Cohen report. He wants it to be the Cohen Lemon report, but I Bigfooted him.
Yes, you most certainly did, by the way. And that's why you're sporting the Lemon Nation hat. By the
You
way,
like that,
I'm digging it, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
When I see you out in the Hamptons over the weekend, I'm going to steal it if it's on your head.
It's gonna look. You can have it. All you have to do is go to donlemon.com and click on merch, and it's right there.
Okay. All right.
Hey, listen.
I kind of like the one that was on your head, but that's because then it has the story to it. Could you imagine the story? Hey, where'd you get that hat? Oh, I stole it off Lemon's head. Like, oh, really? Yeah, I bought it in his merch store. I get it.
No, I'll give you this one, and I'll get a new one. How about that?
Good looking hat. I'm going to buy it myself.
You know why I'm going to give it to you? I'm going to give it to you because I was watching your thing with Michael Wolff, and I agree with Michael Wolff on one thing. I agree with him on a lot of things, but this one thing is that you have a unique relationship and insight on this on Donald Trump. I don't know if necessarily on this administration, but on his thinking and the way he operates. And even though I think the Jeffrey Epstein thing was before you, you can still offer some knowledge. And here we are, him trying to distract the Wall Street Journal, getting, hammered by him. He's saying he's going to sue, and now he's trying to push them out of the briefings in the White House press pool.
Yeah. So, the one thing that Donald Trump definitively stands for, believe it or not, is consistency. Over the course of many, many years, Trump has basically seen many different scenarios, and how he ultimately handles these new ones. You could reflect back upon history. Like the old adage goes, history tends to repeat itself.
Yeah.
So let's just turn around and talk about we'll start it off with the Jeffrey Epstein file. We know now for about a period of 7 years, they have been talking about how the Democratic elite cabal have been involved in this child, this sex trafficking scenario, very similar to the Pizzagate scandal of years ago. Now, that, according to Trump, they were going to release the full set of law enforcement FBI files, whereby Mom's in the background. Hey there, Mom. Yeah.
She didn't even know she's in the background. You never know what's going
to pop up onto the set of the Lemon Cohen report.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
So what ultimately happens is he claims that he's going to release both the Martin Luther King Jr. file. He did. Parts of the JFK file, they did. But the question, and the part that bothers me the most, is why not release the full unredacted law enforcement file on Jeffrey Epstein? And while I will be very transparent on this, I have taken a very different position than most in our sphere. I don't believe that Trump's involvement into it is as deep as most of these conspiracy theorists are saying. The problem is that conspiracy theorists are never satisfied. They always want more. Oh, Don Lemon this. And you're like, oh, that's kind of fucked up. And then all of a sudden it's like, no, it could even be this. And why I say this, D, is because I lived through it. You remember, you and I had so many conversations offline about it when I was allegedly in Prague paying off Russian compromise with $10 million in cash in order to benefit Paul Manafort. And I went and I showed, for example, the Daily Beast, and they photographed my passport. And I say, I've never been to the Czech Republic. I've never been to Prague. I've never been to that part of the world. They were like, well, we need to figure out how you got there. Maybe you traveled with a second passport. I said, I only have one passport, an American passport. Maybe you flew under someone's name in a private plane or what have you. The problem is with conspiracy theorists, you can never satisfy them. Oh, well, here I was in L.A., and they say, well, how do we know you were in L.A.? Go speak to the baseball coach that I was there at USC. You think he's going to lie for me? Or the day after I was with
Michael, I think this is different, though. I think this is different. I think it's not. I don't think it's the same thing. The thing back then is that This was coming from people he thought were outside deep state Democrats, however it is you want to say it. This one this time is coming from his own people, and they are trafficking in conspiracy theory. And now that conspiracy theory for his folks are not paying off, either in they're not getting the results that they want because they think that the Democrats are not going to get their due, right? They're not going to receive any sort of punishment for it, or they believe that Donald Trump is hiding something. Both of them can be true.
So once
I don't,
again,
I don't think that
that's the
anybody believes, though.
conspiracy.
But hold on. I don't believe that anyone believes that Donald Trump is deeply, deeply involved in it. I think that he is afraid of even being involved in it, and just his name's being listed, or him being somehow associated with Jeffrey Epstein, even if they're just talking about girls, the pictures of them at a party. Just every little bit, because he traffics in conspiracy theories, and that's what his folks love and believe.
Mhm.
I think that he thinks even the slightest association with him is going to taint
Okay.
him, because this is the only thing that's penetrating.
By the way, you could be right. You could be right.
Mhm.
In fact, you could also be wrong. Here's the problem. We don't know. And you know why we don't know? Because they refuse to release the documents. By the way, we don't have to worry about the veracity of those documents. Those documents were collected years ago by law enforcement. They are legitimate and they are accurate, factually accurate. My point being, as I wrote in my Substack of today, why are we even guessing? There's no reason for us to guess here. In fact, all we need is the unredacted file, and all of these conspiracy theories disappear. And you know what? If that means that Trump is exonerated from this child sex trafficking conspiracy, so be it. And by the way, if not, okay, so be it as well. But we are all throwing out innuendo, hypotheticals, conspiracy theories, only because we don't know and we want to know. And it's not just Democrats who want to know. It's not just Republicans who want to know. It is the far right MAGA base of his
Yeah.
wing that's been pushing this the hardest. And by the way, folks, do Don and I a big favor, please. Smash the shit out of those red hearts. It helps in order to build the algorithm. And you know
That's
that
true.
little square? No, not Don. I'm talking about the square that's to the right of the heart with the up arrow.
Share.
Please share it with family and friends. Let's build a community.
Mike, I agree with you. I don't think, like, now, look, as you know, Democrats were not even interested in this at all.
Not
And most
until
people, not even Democrats, just people who are kind of don't go down the conspiracy theory rabbit hole. It was the MAGA folks who were, and the sort of Alex Joneses of the world, or Charlie Kirks, or all of those people, those sort of conspiracy theorist types. They were interested in this because they thought it was a cabal of Democrats or left leaning people who were, as you said, Pizzagate, and they were somehow trafficking children, blah 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 blah. And so, look, the reason I think, another reason I think this is different is because, as I said, it is the folks on Donald Trump's side who have been pushing for all of this. Now, I want you to imagine if the Democrats had been saying, we have something on Trump, we have something on Republicans, we have, and it's going to be blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden they said, oh, nothing to see here once their person got in office. What do you think the right would be doing? What do you think Donald Trump would be doing right now? So I understand that Democrats and people who are not in the, sort of crazy conspiracy theory world are wondering, well, what the hell is going on? You were really gung-ho about it because Donald Trump said for himself that he wanted to, that Jeffrey Epstein was in trouble and he wanted it released, and then all of a sudden he doesn't. Something smells funny here. You
right.
don't think
And
something's
the problem is I don't care if it smells good, it smells bad. As a lawyer and somebody that was trained in terms of litigation, in order to win the case, in order to be accurate, you actually have to have evidence. And when I get into these debates with people, I'm like, what evidence do you have other than your opinion? Oh, well, there's the deposition of Katie Johnson. Okay. Not going to
Yeah.
discount that. There is a Katie Johnson that's there. So then they turn around and they say, well, what about the birthday card to Jeffrey Epstein. And I turn around and I say, that's by far the stupidest argument of all. Could you imagine, D. Lemonade, that, think about it, this stupid, gaudy, tawdry, juvenile birthday card, which I can assure you, being around Trump for a decade and a half, literally every day for hours upon hours with him in his office, the guy has never doodled once. So all of a sudden now he's an artist.
Whoa, Mike, that's not true. He sold his doodles to auction.
Okay.
He talked about the doodles.
Okay, let me be clear about that. And I'll say it 100 times. Donald Trump did not draw those. He may have colored them in with a marker and so on. One of his assistants, and all of his assistants, by the way, weren't just good artists. They were phenomenal, great artists. Like, I've seen them draw things that are, one of them actually is has her own gallery. They are all phenomenal artists. They received a request from Ghislaine in order to do this, probably gave them what language that was supposed to be, try to find something that fits into it. Yes, Trump put his name, like Picasso sometimes used to do, and others, right? Or Erte used to do that. Somebody else used to make the figures. He'd stamp onto it his name. It is what it is. Trump is not a doodler. Trump is not an artist. I can assure you, I have never, ever seen him in 15 years doodle anything, including a sketch that looked like the skyline. It's just not true. But my point is, imagine, Don, that this is front page news with all the things going on, 17 million who may lose Medicare, Medicaid, SNAP's program, the wars that are going on, Israel, Hamas still trying to get the hostages taken out, right? Imagine all of this taking place. It's Mama. Imagine.
You're in the background.
Imagine. Hi, Mama. Imagine all of this. Just imagine all of this, and the front page news for 2 days is a birthday card. That's just how off the rails we have become in this.
Okay,
in
but
this battle.
I get you. If he never doodled, then then just fess up to that. Say that, because then it also then exposes another lie. It exposes a lie that he did something. He claimed he doodled something. He claimed he could draw, and then he auctioned it off for money. Some of it, I would imagine, if not all of it, went to charity.
It's his signature. It's his signature, and he probably colored in the lines.
Okay, so he colored. Does that mean? I don't see where that lets him off the hook at all, because that means he approved it.
Okay, but fine. Let's assume he didn't do it. Let's assume the whole bit that the charities all made money on selling something.
That's fraudulent.
It's okay. My point being here, who cares? We're talking about the Epstein file and the release of these information so that victims...
I care, because it says a lot about his character. And if he lies about that, if you lie about a small thing, you'll lie about a big thing. And it says a lot about his character.
Well, I don't know. I could make the argument to you that he was trying to help out the charity and do something that he wasn't able to do. And so, he had them do it. He colored it in, signed his name to it. He declared it at his own.
Whatever. So when you put out a statement for the Wall Street Journal, you say, I don't draw, I'm not a doodler. What I did back then was for charity. Someone else drew it, and then I signed my name.
They outlined it, and he colored it in.
Right.
It's still his work. Sure, it's his work. He still did it. Suffice it to say, let's just turn around and say, America, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, MAGA far right, they all want the release of the Epstein file, unredacted, and so on. It's just what they want. And you know what? Victims deserve it. The American people deserve it. Why they're fighting? Why Mike Johnson now went ahead and let everybody off early for summer? Imagine if you were in school. Imagine they said, you know what? I want to let everybody off a week early. Forget about exams. Everyone's getting an A. Go home. We don't want to do anything, only because that's what the teacher wanted. Isn't it sort of the same thing? They don't want to deal with the issue. So he's sending the entire Congress, which, by the way, our tax dollars pay. It's our tax dollars. You're letting them off a week or so early so that this issue isn't going to be brought before the floor until September 2nd, thinking that Americans are so stupid that we're just going to
He's just going
ignore
to
it.
drag it out. He's just dragging it out. He's making it worse than what it has to be.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree.
But look, but I do disagree with you on the whole drawing thing, because again, it does show his character. And there's just, look, I like to see evidence. There's a lot of circumstantial evidence. There's a lot of smoke here. And where there's smoke, there's usually fire. So I don't know what his involvement, of the level of his involvement. And I shouldn't say that I don't care. I do care the level of involvement that he is, if he's done anything that is prosecutable, or that is that wasn't two consenting adults.
You know where that information is located? On
in the
Pam
file.
Bondi's desk.
Yes.
Mind you, I'll tell you, the thing that I'm offended most about, most offended, is when Pam Bondi and the group of morons that were with her were holding up those 3-ring binders, turning around and saying, this is the Epstein file. We are going to release this, and so on. They were making a whole spectacle out of it. Now, all of a sudden, you know what? What we thought it was, it's not, which means one of two things. Either they didn't read it, or two, they were lying to the American people. And I'm offended by the whole action of Pam Bondi. Had they not gone out with the files, had they not said they were releasing it, okay, there are reasons why you don't release certain, information, why the JFK assassination or the Martin Luther King Jr. assassination has been under seal for over 50 years. There are reasons. Does this fall into it? I don't know. You know what? I'm sick and tired of hearing people say, I'm sick and tired of me having to say, I don't know. It's just my opinion. Not when all the information that we need to know is sitting in a 3-ring binder on Pam Bondi's desk.
Yeah. Well, Pam Bondi is not going to do anything that Donald Trump doesn't want her to do. He can say whatever he wants to say publicly. And his deputy attorney general, what's the attorney's name again?
Todd Blanche.
Todd Blanche. Todd Blanche is not going to do anything. Why did he hire Todd Blanche to be the deputy attorney general? Because Todd Blanche was his criminal defense attorney, his civil defense attorney, has been his defense attorney all along. Todd Blanche isn't going to do anything that Donald Trump doesn't want him to do. Donald Trump sees the attorney general and the deputy attorney general as his own personal attorneys. And that is the role that they are playing right now. And that is not going to change. My question is, why is, and Mike Johnson said today, I'm in coordination. I speak to there's no daylight between us and the White House. And then he said, I speak to the president several times a day. That's normal. So then why is he pushing it off? At the same time, his own attorney general and deputy attorney general are moving to go interview Ghislaine Maxwell, reportedly or allegedly, perhaps, maybe a pardon, or I believe just to get information because they know what's in those files and they want to either make some sort of deal with her or find out exactly what she knows so that they can cover for themselves.
Listen,
I think
one of our watchers just said, Dave, we've become a nation of speculation. Who knows why they want to do it? The only way that you would know the reason why they're going to see her is if you had access and knowledge of the file itself. So I can say, oh yeah, they're going to offer her a pardon simply to make sure that she keeps her mouth shut. Okay, speculation, opinion, predicated on nothing. Or I can say they're just doing their job. That's what they do. You investigate a lead to see what they have to offer in order to put, this case to bed, in order to bring justice. Now, one would think that justice has been served. Ghislaine has a 20-year sentence, right? Which, again, is incredible considering that, the perpetrator is Jeffrey Epstein, and that there are so many others that could be named in this that have not been.
Support comes from Zbiotics. Now, I have to tell you about this game-changing product that I use before a night out with drinks. It's called pre-alcohol. Zbiotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic Drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists. They invented it to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's a buildup of this byproduct. It's not dehydration. That is to blame for rough days after drinking. So pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make pre-alcohol your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly, and you're going to feel your best the next morning. I first gave pre-alcohol a try at the start of the summer before, a few margaritas. I drank it before my first sip, and you wouldn't believe how on top of my game I felt the very next morning. So it worked. So summer is here right now, which means more opportunities to celebrate the warm weather. So don't forget your Zbiotics pre-alcohol. Go to zbiotics.com/lemondrops to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use Lemon Drops at checkout. Zbiotics is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/lemondrops and use the code LEMONDROP.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Let's say when you had your issue with Donald Trump and you had to serve time, if the attorney general and the deputy attorney general came to you and said, Michael, we're going to pardon you. We're going to let you out of jail. This is before you even knew that you were going to get out because of COVID and all that. We're going to let you out. You got to keep your mouth shut. What would you have done?
It's very tough to give the answer as somebody that served time, as somebody who can actually speak to the pain that serving time causes you personally and to your family. I don't know the answer, but I will not turn around and say that I wouldn't seriously have considered it. In fact, if they would have said, you got to keep your mouth shut and move out of the country, I don't know if I wouldn't have done that too, right? I mean, let me be very clear. Serving time sucks. Being away from your family and your friends and to be able to get your life back, that's a pretty incredible thing to get. And all you need to do is not to reveal, this information. I'm not so sure that that's not something that anybody wouldn't take.
Okay, then you don't think that Todd Blanche and Pam Bondi know that?
Of course they know it, but then again, it goes on a presumption that there's anything in that whole file that is significantly derogatory to the president. What if hypothetically he didn't engage in anything? What if hypothetically that maybe he knew or he might have known and so on? Maybe. I'm so tired of the maybes. I'm so tired of the hypotheticals.
So release the file. I get it.
Release the fucking file already.
Okay,
As a lawyer, we don't live done. When you're talking about the news, okay? And I'm not talking about opinion, I'm talking about the news. Today, flight number 232 had to make a hard right turn because it almost hit a B-52 bomber. That's a fact. That's what you have done your whole life as a journalist, as a reporter. You talk about facts. What we're doing is trying to make an educated deduction based upon whether you like him or you dislike him, because you could read this any which way you want. I say to you, which hand is it in? The left or the right? You say, what's in your hand? Does it matter? Just tell me which hand, right? And there's nothing in either of them. That's the whole point here. Everything is a hypothetical right now. And when I listen to these pundits on television sitting there and prognosticating, you're prognosticating based off what? Have you read the file? When I used to do trials,
but are you faulting them for that? And that was my next question. If you were an attorney, but so I'll continue with that. But I mean, you can't because all they have is speculation. So they're going to speculate. That's kind of their roles. But if you were an attorney,
no.
Yes, it is.
Journalists aren't supposed to speculate.
But here's the thing, Michael.
Michael,
Let me give you a lesson, and let me give you a lesson here. we need better media training. We need better media literacy in this country, because there's a difference between a reporter, there's a difference between an anchor, there's a difference between a host, there's a difference between an analyst, there's a difference between a consultant, there's a difference between a contributor. So contributors and analysts and commentators, they comment, they analyze, they consult, and so they can give you their points of view and an opinion.
I agree.
If you are a reporter, a journalist, an anchor, you're supposed to live in the world of facts. If you are a host like Fox News, Sean Hannity, Jesse Waters, all the people on the Five, you don't have to abide by journalistic standards because they're not journalists. They are hosts. That is a completely different role. So you can't fault the people because that's their jobs. Many people earn a living by being analysts and commentators and opinion givers. Okay. So that's it. But the other thing is, like, so if you don't, then if the administration and folks like you, which I agree with, they should release and get the facts, then they've got to release it and give the facts. Now, if you're an attorney, let's say you're an attorney and you have a client, and Donald Trump is not your client, you're sitting on the other side, and Donald Trump's attorneys, or they came up with like, hey, there's nothing to see here, we're not going to release the file, you're trying to make your case for the American people, you would have to assume that something nefarious is going on in order to defend your client. Am I wrong?
Well, does it have to be nefarious?
Well, I mean, there is something fishy. There is
folks,
something.
Please
there
keep
is
hitting
some,
those hearts. Hit those hearts for Don Lemon and his incredible Lemonation hat, which is available at lemonation.com.
No, it's available at donlemon.com in the merch store. Okay.
See, what's the difference? What's the difference? Is that a fact?
Yeah, it is a fact. Okay. So that's a fact. So you would have to assume that there is some reason that they don't want it released. And all you're left to do as an attorney is investigate and speculate. And that's what people are going to do at this point. How else would you come up?
Well, that's what people do.
You have to go through different scenarios in order to make a defense for your client, right? Or to make a case for your client.
Well, that's right. But attorneys don't speculate. What we do is we base things off of evidence. And you read the evidence.
In order to get to the evidence, you have to speculate. How did this happen? Where did it come from? Could this be a possibility? Maybe this happened. Maybe that happened. And then you investigate all of it, right?
Well, so in a deposition, I would say, did you travel northbound on I-95 on January 1st of 2025? The answer is, I don't know at that moment. If you say yes, now I know. That's in the affirmative. If you say no, okay, that's a negative. I'm sorry, were you traveling southbound? We try to find out facts, right? Because facts matter. That's the whole point, which, by the way, brings me up to this whole point about now what Trump is talking about in regard to Russia, to what he calls the Russia hoax. Somehow Obama's involved, Hillary Clinton, James Comey, and many others. Let me tell you, I'm personally involved in that as well. Let me ask you this, since we're, as a nation, as Eddie was saying before, Dave was saying, we become a nation of speculation. So more than 5 years ago, I hired two attorneys, the two top attorneys in America that deal with FOIA requests. All right? The two top. Mark Zaid and Brian Elias. How about the fact that after 5+ years going to court, getting a judge ruling that I'm entitled to expedited process on this because it deals with my First Amendment right, I have not gotten a single piece of paper. And by the way, my investigation using Brian Karam, a journalist, in my book, Revenge, I have come up with information that James Comey was involved in the documentation in the Steele dossier, which ultimately led to the congressional investigations and so on. Is it also fair then to turn around to say something nefarious was going on, considering at the time when I made the request to government under FOIA, they turned around and told me that there were no documents that were relevant to my FOIA request. After having several, we then, again, filed the lawsuit with those documents. They came back in 35, 40 days apologizing and saying, you know what, Mr. Cohen, sorry, you're right. We found documents. Went from 0 to 486,000 documents. 486,000. Should I not have a right to know what was going on? Why this whole investigation even came out? What was it all about? I write about it in the whole book, In Revenge. Shouldn't the American people want to know to make sure that it doesn't happen to you? That you get roped in a political scandal?
Yeah. Yes, of course.
Right.
Right to know. But so that's what the American people are saying right now. Let me just say, and the American people are saying that right now, and the Trump folks are answering. You know how they're answering this? They're answering a conspiracy theory with a bigger conspiracy theory and with deflection. Because now Donald Trump is saying, oh, well, what's her name? Tulsi Gabbard. Obama was a cover-up. And now all of MAGA world and all the conspiracy theories and all of the manosphere and all of the crazy Trump glazers, I call them dick riders in the streaming world, they're all out there saying, hey, a lot of they release the files. Obama's going to be arrested. They're going to arrest Comey, Clinton, all those, oh my gosh, they're going to be arrested. And so they are answering, and Donald Trump is helping them, his administration, by him putting out this AI video of Barack Obama, artificial intelligence, a fake video of Barack Obama getting arrested. They're answering a conspiracy theory with a conspiracy theory. One conspiracy theory that has not panned out for them, they are answering it or responding to it with a bigger conspiracy theory, which will not pan out for them as well. It won't pan out for them because I don't believe there's any evidence there. And I believe that any president could order any kind of report he wants and read it and come to their own conclusion. That is not illegal. The other thing is that Donald Trump, because he wanted to be immune from prosecution as the president of the United States, Barack Obama is not going to jail, because Barack Obama would be immune as well. And so a conspiracy theory with another conspiracy theory, they are digging themselves in deeper. And that is why I believe that this is not going away anytime soon.
You know what's interesting, D? That both Trump and others in his administration have all said that they actually have the proof. They have the documents. They have the evidence within which to prove that this was all masterminded in order to impede his ability to both run and ultimately to win the presidency in 2016. If that's in fact true, put the documentation out. I could have used that documentation in my lawsuit.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have had that documentation.
Well, maybe you'll have a chance to bring it back if they come. But they have to remember, when they're doing all of this, if they're going to have there's going to be a lot of discovery. And I'm not so sure they want that discovery out there, but maybe they'll be in control of whatever the discovery is.
So it's funny that you say that, because talk about discovery. Everybody keeps talking about the Wall Street Journal and the lawsuit, and it plays two very important roles that I want to share with our audience. And again, audience, keep smashing the hearts to Don and his beautiful hat and that square. And again, when I refer to the square, I'm not talking about the square above me. I'm talking about the square to the right of the heart with the up arrow.
Petty.
Listen, I am who I am.
Petty. You are petty.
Yeah, thank you. So
share it. Smash the square to share it with your friends. Yes, go on.
Wall Street Journal really plays two roles here, my friend. The first role is it goes ahead and it shows that journalism, Wall Street Journal, they all have to start thinking now more about whether or not the story that they intend to put out is, one, factually accurate, and two, it's actually even worth the trouble that it could create. That's really what's happening. Because now, and I have made the prediction, and so far, more than 90% of my predictions have come true. My prediction is that Rupert Murdoch settles on behalf of the Wall Street Journal and all of the various defendants for some amount of money that will be a tax-deductible donation to the future presidential library, just as ABC did, just as CBS did, just as a bunch of the law firms did. I'll tell you why, and then I want your take on it. I believe they will because they're already, as I predicted, being shut out of D.C. They're already thrown out of the briefing room, the Oval Office. They're not traveling with him on Air Force One to Scotland. That's their bread and butter. When they start losing their advertisers, that's when they're going to come to the table.
I don't agree with that. I think that the advertisers are going to stand by this because the advertisers are okay with someone who's standing up for an organization that is standing up for truth, justice in the American way, and for possible victims. Okay, and so I don't believe that's so because I have said this, and I believe that this to be true. Some of the harshest criticism I have seen of Donald Trump has come from the Wall Street Journal, which is if you want to say conservative or a right-leaning paper, at least it's owned by a conservative, right-leaning entity person, same people on Fox News, the same people who own the New York Post. I believe that Rupert Murdoch has been around for 90-some years. Rupert Murdoch knows, and he thinks he's going to be around for a longer period of time. Rupert Murdoch knows that Fox News will be here, that News Corp will be here, that the Dow Jones will be here, that even the writers and reporters who wrote the story, that they're going to be there, the Wall Street Journal, all of this will be around when Donald Trump is gone. And Rupert Murdoch has lived, for some people, several lives. And he is not afraid of Donald Trump. And so I think Donald Trump needs Rupert Murdoch more than he needs ABC. Donald Trump needs Rupert Murdoch and Fox News and whatever entities that Fox News, that Rupert Murdoch owns, more than he needs ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, MSNBC. He needs them more than that because they carry his water. I don't think Rupert Murdoch is going to back down. And I don't believe that the Wall Street Journal would have gone with this story and not sourced it correctly, would have gone with this story if they didn't believe in what they were reporting. Here's the critical thing that you need to know. Even if what they wrote is not true, and you know that, Michael, as long as they can show that they reported it without malice, they're good. So I don't think Rupert Murdoch is backing down at all.
All right, we'll make a small wager. Right? I mean,
Michael,
I've seen this movie before. In fact, I know, like Maureen was saying, "Oh, I agree with Don." Well, that's because you like Don and his hat better than me. But let me be very clear. I have seen this play before. Instead, and in fact, so have each of you.
Rupert Murdoch did not back down, remember, to Smartmatic or Dominion. And
he
they
got
lost.
whacked with almost $1 billion.
But he could have settled. He did not.
Yeah, and that was a mistake for them too. So my point is,
why? How was it a mistake? They kept their integrity. To them, what integrity is for them, Michael. They kept it. They did not back down. They did not relent. They're still saying that they believe in their story.
They made false reporting.
Yeah, and whatever the $1 billion it is, does that matter to Rupert Murdoch and News Corp? No, they don't. They're still rolling. Fox is number one.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see when Fox starts losing their access and so on. They start putting it on a different platform or something like that. Remember,
I have an answer to that too. I know that, but if all of the news organizations would just stand up, and I know they probably won't, but if I were them, I'd say, fine, we won't cover you. Then we will just keep our dogged reporters that are actually going to do some real reporting, not the folks who just have to go to the briefing to sort of, be stenographers for what is said in the White House briefing and to get bullied by Caroline Leavitt. Do they really need that? No, it's all a show. I mean, maybe Fox News likes it for the ratings so they can do whatever, but the folks who are actually doing the reporting, most of them, they're not even White House correspondents.
No.
They're the people who are doing the good old gumshoe, shoe leather reporting, right? And so I think that I think they should call him on his bluff and say, okay, fine.
I just don't think they'll do it. I think, $10-15 million, to Rupert and to Fox.
It's nothing.
It's nothing, and it'll be
it's not even a rounding error. It's just like
it'll be a tax deduction as well because they're going to make it as a gift to the presidential library. Nobody declaring fault or obligational liability. Trump will declare it as a win. I've seen this movie before. Trust me, this is what's going to happen.
I do believe, and I'm not a fan of Fox News, but I do believe that perhaps in this weird way where a lot of sane people and people on the left are agreeing with the Tucker Carlsons of the world and the Candace Owens of the world and all the people who are saying, hey, look, the conspiracy theorists and the Trump glazers who are now saying something's fishy. I think that there may be some sort of weird poetic justice here that Rupert Murdoch is the one who stands up for the media and Donald Trump and who fights back and brings everyone back to sanity. I'm hoping that that is the redemption arc for
And
Rupert
that's the
Murdoch.
word of the day. It's hope. That's the word of the day. It's
Keep
hope.
hope alive. Keep hope alive. Michael, I love you, buddy. I'll see you later, okay?
And everybody who supports me, please make sure that you follow and support Don. Vice versa, you're a supporter of Don, you follow Don. Please follow
On
me
all of
back
our
as well.
platforms. On all of our platforms.
Make sure that you pick up your hat. By the way, you know, it'd be great if we can get on like a massive, like a Zoom with all of, with like 1,500, 1,600, 2,000 of our, subscribers watching and everybody wearing your Lemon Nation hat. How about that? That'd be something, right?
That'd be great. We need more people than that. I mean, we need a big room for all of the people who love both of us. Thank you. Or hate watch us.
Exactly.
Thank you, Michael.
Later, D.
I'll see you guys. See you guys. Thank you, guys. Have a good one. Signing off. Don Lemon and Michael Cohen for the Cohen Report.
Thanks everyone for watching. Your support means the world to us. So make sure you hit the like button and you subscribe to our channel to make sure that you never ever miss a video. We're live every day, 10 a.m. Eastern time. We drop even more content at 2 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Eastern. And if you want more Don Lemon Show content, we'd love for you to become a member of the Lemon community, where you will receive access to special community posts. You'll get exclusive content and members-only live shows. So head over to our channel page or click the join button on this video. Again, thank you for watching. We appreciate your love and your support, and we will see you next time.